What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update, and we've already got another confirmed deal to talk about today, and that is Sergio Reguilon to Brentford, as Fabrizio Romano says. Reguilon to Brentford, here we go. Final green light just arrived after a verbal agreement between the clubs. Loan move with no option to buy clause, as Sergio will head back to Tottenham at the end of the season. Brentford have booked in the medical tests on Wednesday, which was today. Then David Ornstein says that Reguilon has finished medical and heading to Brentford training ground to complete move from Tottenham on loan. No option to buy, and Brentford will pay a salary contribution. So Reguilon comes back from Man United and quickly shipped out the door.
Yeah, I think it makes sense from a Spurs point of view. He's not going to be involved in the matchday squads for Spurs. We've got no use for him. I think for him to get another Premier League move, a club where the pressure isn't as much, I think he'll fit the Brentford system quite well, I think. The way they play, I think he'll be a good fit for them. If from a Brentford point of view, I think it's a really good move because they've been struggling without Rico Henry. He's been out for the season, and I think they've needed a backup left-back or someone who can play that role for the whole season. I think Reguilon can do that job. He's fast. He can get forward for them. He can provide assists as well. So I think if you're a Brentford fan, you'll be happy with that. I think for Spurs, hopefully it'll be another opportunity for him to show what he can do at Brentford, hopefully play regularly and build some value ahead of the summer. Maybe Brentford might take him permanently in the summer.
If he does well, that'll be some great options at left back for them to have for next season, Reguilon and Rico Henry, wouldn't it?
I don't see why he can't do well. Look, Man United, he didn't do that well there, although...
He didn't do terribly,
he didn't do terribly, and I think for a club of Brentford's level, to have someone like Reguilon as an option, I think would be a really good option.
Let's move on and talk about this surprising update from Phil Hay from The Athletic. He says that Leeds have a speculative eye on Ben Davies if changes to the squad at Tottenham before deadline day make him a potential loan target. However, it feels incredibly unlikely that Spurs would sanction such a move. And not only incredibly unlikely that Spurs would sanction a move to let Davies go to Leeds, but I can't really see Ben Davies wanting to go down to the Championship either. Yeah,
I think maybe in the summer, if they get promoted and Davies is really out of favour, maybe that's something they'll consider. First of all, he's out for 6 weeks, so whether they want to sign an injured player right now, and, he's probably, I don't know how much he's being paid at Spurs, but he's probably, at least 70, 80 grand a week, I'm sure. I don't know if Leeds want to take over those kind of wages. We probably want a decent fee. I don't see Spurs considering loaning him out, considering he's played so much this season. He's going to be our backup left back as well. And as well, if we need a left side, he's backup left side and centre back potentially. I know Dragusin's there, but obviously Davies is also an option. So I don't see Spurs seeing him as surplus to requirements by any stretch. I don't see a loan deal being viable unless, I don't know, something happens. We sign another centre back for some reason between now and the end of the window. Maybe that's an option. But I don't see this deal going ahead. And as well, Davies, if he's going to move on, he's a Premier League player. He knows he's a Premier League player. He's performed well this season, so I don't see why he would want to go down to the Championship.
Yeah, he's proved his value to Tottenham Hotspur this season so far. He's been brilliant every time he's stepped in. I can see him moving on in the summer with Ashley Phillips coming back, hopefully on the back of a successful loan spell to Plymouth. He could be playing the backup left-back role, though, because we don't actually have another left-back, because you'd imagine Sessegnon and Reguilon are both going to be moving on by the time the summer comes. So could Ben Davies still be here to play that backup left-back role? I'll probably say yes. So I can't see a move for Ben Davies, to be honest, unless we do sign a backup left-back in the summer. But that comes in the summer, and that's a conversation for another day. Let's talk about another potential outgoing. That is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Sky Sports' Lyle Thomas says that Højbjerg's future at Tottenham is set to go down to the final days of the transfer window. Spurs are not about to accept any cut price deals for Højbjerg, who still has 18 months left in his contract and is of interest of Juventus and Napoli in Italy, as well as other Premier League clubs. Unless an obligation to buy is included in a loan, is understood to be completely off the table. So any interested clubs must be ready with a permanent solution. And Mike McGrath says Napoli are among the clubs interested in Tottenham midfielder Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, should he be made available for transfer before the end of the window.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I don't see the need to loan him out. I think he's, as we said before, when he's been called upon this season, I think he's done a fairly decent job. Obviously, he's not the perfect player for the system. I think we all know that. And I think if we get an opportunity to upgrade him, we should take it. But I don't think he's one of those players where we just have to ship out at any cost because he's got no use to us. He's not at that level. He's been actually relied upon quite heavily so far this season on a number of occasions. I still think he's got a lot to offer us. And I think it is a case, if we get a good offer, then it's right to let him go and hopefully get someone else in the squad who's more suited to the system. But right now, he's doing a good job, so there's no need to ship him out unless we have a ready-made replacement. So the loan deal, I agree that it should be off the table. In terms of Napoli, it's an interesting one because they have, I believe, just agreed a deal with Inter for Zielinski.
Have they?
Yeah, I think he's going. So maybe there is, I don't know how much he's going for, but maybe with that sale, there is a bit of space for Højbjerg there. So that could be one to keep an eye on.
How much are they getting in?
I'm not asking him, I'm not sure. I can't remember how much, but I'm pretty sure Romano was saying it's either, I can't remember if he gave the here we go or just a advanced, if their deal was advanced, but I'm pretty sure they've agreed a deal with Inter.
Wow.
So,
well, that could definitely be a viable option. And if we do let Højbjerg go, and if a suitable offer does come in from now until the end of the window, do we go like with what we got? Do we need to bring in another midfielder? I mean, it is rumoured that we are looking at another midfielder before the end of the window.
Yeah.
Is that all dependent on Højbjerg?
100%. I don't see us bringing anyone in while Højbjerg's here, but I don't see us selling anyone until we have a ready-made replacement. So I think 100% is dependent on Højbjerg.
There's 2 rumoured players about incomings before the end of the window, maybe even the summer moves. But Sky Sports' Lyle Thomas says that Tottenham continue to monitor the progress of Norwegian starlet Antonio Nusa. We've spoken about him a couple of times on this channel. Both of us seem to like the look of him, to be honest. Is there a space for him if we bring him in this January? We're kind of like stacked on the wings at the moment, aren't we? With Werner just coming in.
We are stacked on the wings, but I think Nusa brings something we don't have, which is really good dribbling ability and that just electric ability of running at a player on the ball. So you could argue that he brings something different, but I agree. You look at options right now on the forward line with Werner coming in now. We do have like multiple options now in each position. So I think if we do sign him in January, it'll be a case of loaning him back or loaning him somewhere else and giving him the game time. I don't see him coming in right now, especially as an 18-year-old and getting lots of first-team minutes, unless again we have a lot of injuries, which we have had this season. But I don't see him being a player coming in January. It doesn't make sense to me why you would sign someone now, keeping the first team squad when you've got all these options that we currently have. I do think there's a lot of decisions we have to make between now and January and the summer in terms of who we want to keep. You know, will we keep Werner on permanently? Is Richarlison the one we're going to be relying on? You know, going forward, there's a few decisions to make, but I don't think we've made those decisions yet, so I think we're going to trust them for now.
Yeah, in terms of like Antonio Nusa, I can see him fitting in, just not this season. I kind of think the best option is what you said, like sign him, maybe loan him somewhere till the end of the season, get him consistent minutes from then, and then maybe utilize him from the summer onwards. I think that could be a really good option for us if we can push the button on that. But he does seem like a player that it definitely stacks up heavily on the data and the metrics, doesn't he?
Definitely.
Next up is Edison, not Edison of Manchester City, but Edison of Atalanta. Sky Sports' Lyle Thomas says that Spurs are tracking Atalanta midfielder Edison, an attacking midfielder. I actually was watching a bit of Atalanta the other day. They were like 3-0 up in the space of like 15 minutes, and he scored one of the goals. And I was quite impressed with what I saw, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, from what I look at him, he seems more of like a box-to-box midfielder, but he has got 5 goals this season. The data really profiles well as like an all-round midfielder. Performs really well defensively, performs really well with his ball-carrying ability and passing as well. He seems to have quite good passing metrics. So definitely, he's 24 years of age, so a good age as well. If we are letting go of Højbjerg, he does seem like the kind of player. He actually profiles very similarly to Gallagher in terms of just being quite good at everything.
There's a few more green bars on the Gallagher FB.
Yeah,
ref.
no, but that's still quite, you know.
No, it is, yeah, I know.
It's like quite well-rounded, and I think definitely these I think clearly this is the kind of player we're looking at signing if we're going to sell Højbjerg, someone who's more of an 8. Can play that role going forward and also defensively. I think he definitely fits the bill. So definitely one to watch out for. I wonder how much he would cost if it would be similar to Højbjerg, if we'd have to pay over the odds to get him. But maybe this is one we'll have lined up if we do get a deal done for Højbjerg.
It seems much more of a viable option than Conor Gallagher, to be honest. I just feel like the Conor Gallagher one is just way too hard to do. Being at Chelsea, being a Chelsea boy, captain at the moment, Poch. There's no chance Poch wants to let him go, in my opinion.
Poch has already said publicly how important Conor Gallagher is, and I think if they do sell him, it won't be. I think that'll be against Poch's wishes in a way. It might be against Gallagher's wishes as well. So that's what makes the deal even more difficult to do. If Gallagher was kind of like on the bench for a lot of the season, and wasn't really getting the game time he has been getting, maybe there'll be more of a conversation. But the fact he's been like one of their main players, I just think makes this deal very difficult to do. But well, you know, with the FA clamping down on FFP and all that kind of stuff, and Chelsea potentially in trouble with going down the line, they're looking to sell people like Brozier and stuff. But Gallagher might have to be a fall guy. But I think this January, it's considering they've already been cleared this for next season for FFP, I think it's way too difficult to do.
I feel like the time to get Gallagher was in the summer, just gone. You know, they were actively open to offers for Gallagher, but this season he's proved his importance to the team, and I just feel like it's way too difficult, and I think Edison does seem a bit more likely than Gallagher at this moment in time. Let's talk about the next one, which is about Alfie Devine, which is really interesting news, as Tottenham recalled Alfie Devine from his loan spell and immediately loaned him to Plymouth Argyle on loan. So he joins former age group manager Ian Foster and Tottenham teammate Ashley Phillips on loan at the Championship club, which is a great move for him. Really great move for Alfie. And I think I can safely say this for all of you guys watching out there, and me and Sim as well, that Plymouth are going to be our second team, and we'll be following them very closely so far for the rest of the season. And on the back of Ashley Phillips having a storming debut, getting man the match for Plymouth, I can't wait to see what Alfie Devine can do in the Championship. It is a massive step up going from a mid-table League One side to Plymouth in the Championship. It's going to be interesting to see how he does there. There is a comment from the Plymouth manager Ian Foster, and he says, Alfie is a player I'm really familiar with. I've known Alfie since his Wigan days when I was working for the FA. We had a lot of players coming through the pathway at Wigan. When selecting Alfie for the England teams, he played a year up, which shows you the level of confidence I have in him. In terms of his ability and his character, bringing him here was a no-brainer in terms of knowing what I'm getting from the person and the player. I know how talented he is. I know how hard working he is, and he gives me a little bit of a head start because he knows the roles and knows exactly what I'll be asking him to do. Regardless of the shape, he understands the principles of play. He's a really versatile attacking midfielder. He can play in advanced midfield roles, and he can also play in that deeper role as well. He can handle the ball in tight areas under pressure, and he is an attacking threat. He's someone that can cover a lot of positions for us, which is a great thing to have. And you know, sometimes we get these players that go out on loan, but you don't really have the full backing of the manager and they don't seem to play him. But judging by those words, this is a manager who knows exactly what Alfie's about and knows exactly what abilities he's going to bring to the team.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament as well to how much of an impact he made at Port Vale. I've seen a few fans commenting on the fact that he's returned to Spurs and gone out on loan, and they're absolutely gutted that they're losing Alfie Devine. They've called him one of the best loan players who's ever come to Port Vale, and I think it's also a testament to the impact he's had, that the fact that after 6 months that Championship club's already interested in him and he's made that step up. So that's really well, like, I'm really happy for him. I really hope he takes this opportunity, because when you look at it, we're looking for a box-to-box midfielder like a number 8. And look, we are looking at players, you know, in Devine's age range, you know, to sign and potentially loan back. But if Devine really pushes on in the Championship in the next 6 months and really shows that he's not too good for that level, but he can be very comfortable at that level and really makes that step up and has a really good 6 months for Plymouth, who knows what that means for him next season? Why can't he be involved in the first team? Why can't he challenge Pape Sarr or whoever for that number 8 slot? And maybe that will negate the need to looking to sign a midfielder and loan them out or whatever we're trying to do for next season. So I think Devine should see this as a massive opportunity to progress his career, because I really think this could really lead to him getting involved in the first team more often if he does well. And I think it's great that the environment he's going into, a manager he knows, obviously Ashley Phillips, a teammate as well. So I think it's the perfect kind of move for him right now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, to be honest. And like you say, I think this could save us a lot of money in the summer window, and we can focus really on other targets. You're looking at not only Alfie Devine, but Ashley Phillips as well. Phillips can come in next season as the 4th choice centre-back. Alfie Devine can fight for those spots in the midfield. So do you think, though, if Devine and Phillips are playing those roles in the squad, like, do you think they'll get enough game time to aid their development?
That's the question mark. Obviously, Champions League football next season.
Let's hope.
Well, if it is Champions League, I mean, maybe if it's Europa League, I would say yes. If it's Champions League, all of a sudden, you know, you can't really put a Phillips or a Devine in those group games if they're not ready. You can in Europa League, but it could lead them getting game time like Carabao Cup. So maybe in rotation in the Premier League potentially, if we're you know, playing in the Champions League and we have to rotate a lot. So I think there will be minutes for them. Obviously, it's not going to be lots, potentially depending on injuries. But you never know what if you're involved in the first team and we have similar injuries to we had this season. Sorry, all of a sudden they will get those chances. But on the face of it, yeah, they're obviously not going to be first choice. But if they're as good as we hope they can be, maybe they can really push the first team like a long way, and maybe like someone like Alfie Devine can surprise everyone and really snatch a first team spot.
Yeah, and last but not least, let's talk about Japhet Tanganga. As Charlie Eccleshare says that Japhet Tanganga expected to return to Tottenham this month from loan at Augsburg, where he's yet to play a game. Spurs' plan is to then loan him out again to a club most likely in the Premier League, Championship or Serie A. And Dan Kilpatrick just confirms that Tanganga is set for a loan spell with a Championship club.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the best course of action right now. It's been a bit of a disaster, hasn't it? Let's be honest. Going to Augsburg, not playing a minute at all. Well, I'd love to speak to an Augsburg fan or whatever just to understand what really happened, because I think he was injured and then he just couldn't get in the team.
Well, the case was that when he went there, they had a manager that they played 3 at the back, and they had 6 defenders, including Tanganga, to fight for those 3 spots. Whilst Tanganga was injured, they got a new manager who changed it to 4 at the back. So suddenly they had 6 defenders for 2 spots.
Right. And then he's 6th choice probably, trying to fight his way. So I think it's the right decision to recall him. Obviously, he did have a clause in his contract. If he played 50% of games, he would get a permanent move. But obviously that's never going to happen at this point.
0%.
Yeah, 0. So I think he just needs to go somewhere and play. You know, he hasn't played football regularly. I mean, ever. Like for how many years now?
I wonder if Plymouth won him.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. But look, he broke into the team in 2020. He hasn't gone on any loan deals apart from the one he just had, has he? Yeah. This is his first loan deal. So he literally hasn't played regular football now for coming up on 5 years. Yeah. And that is going to stunt anyone, let alone a talented defender like Tanganga. So he just needs to go somewhere and show what he can do, play regularly. And even if it is in the Championship at this point, I think that's the right move for him. Yeah,
I know. It's a sad case for Tanganga, because when he broke into the Spurs team, remember that debut against Liverpool and a few string of performances after that.
Under Nuno, that game against City, that convinced us to keep him because we were going to sell him. Yeah, exactly. So he has shown that he can be at a good level. Just, I don't think Spurs have done him any favours, just kind of filling in here, filling in there, and always being kind of not at the forefront of our minds, having Japhet Tanganga. We always were looking to upgrade him and never really giving him a good loan spell where he can get consistent minutes. I mean, this was his first loan spell, like you say. So it is frustrating, because I think like right at the beginning, you really saw the value of Tanganga and what he can bring to a Spurs shirt. I just don't think Spurs have done him any favours in terms of aiding his development. That's just essentially what the case is. So that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news topics we've talked about today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.